very long day today. You know, one of those days where you just can't cross out all the to-dos. But it's okay. Because if God wills it and gives us tomorrow, we can always come back, get it done, and even do it better. Good evening to you. I hope your day's been good. I hope that work was fantastic. I hope that school was good as well. And if you were just staying home because you're either on leave or just resting, I hope you did just that and you're rejuvenated as well. My name is Miriam. Welcome to Unedited on 3FM 92.7. Earlier on, you were hanging with the Drive team. The 3FM Drive will be back on your dial tomorrow from 2 to 7 p.m. sharp. And before that was the Urban Blend with the Kochoko legend. Black Rasta comes your way 10 to 2 p.m. And we begin the morning with Sunrise, Johnny, William. Helen is taking a little break with Sunrise from 5:55 all through to 10. But right now and right here, we're about to lift your spirit and motivate you and inspire you. So we all have dreams. I have my dreams. Some of it has come to pass. Some, well, just a matter of time. But what happens if you dream of a thing, something that you have always wanted to do? It finally happens. However, you find out that the details of how it would, turn out was not exactly as you planned it. Some people have the desire to travel. Some, the desire to start your own business. My guest had the desire to travel, not just to travel, but to pursue a career that he has always loved. It's all that he knew. He gets the opportunity to travel, but when he gets there, it turns out that he has been handed a raw deal. Want to know the details? He joins us in just a few minutes to find out. We'll find out from him how things turned out, how he picked up the pieces, and hopefully by the time he's done sharing his story or picking up the pieces and starting all over again, you will realize that, well, actually, your life is not that bad. And wherever you are at, there's always an opportunity to start all over again and get it right. As always, I'll start with a song, one that hopefully inspires you as well. This one is from Danny Goki, and he calls it Stay Strong. It will stay strong. Sometimes it's the most difficult thing to do, but well, if you've got God on your side, sometimes all you need is to act with the strength to stay strong and just wait. One of the things that I think as human beings and as Christians particularly we don't pray much about is the grace to wait, because you do need the grace to wait to wait on the promise, to wait on what God says he will do. But what happens after you have waited, okay, and the breakthrough or the manifestation finally comes, but then you find out later that the details of the manifestation was not exactly how you thought God had planned it. Well, my guest waited and waited for his dream to come to pass, and he thought it had come to pass, only to find us take a step of faith into the dream and realize, oh no, those steps were not steps into the dream. They were steps into a lot of trouble. My guest today is an event host and an MC as well. An event MC and a motivational speaker. But in his very early life, he was a promising footballer. Okay, he still has a physique as a footballer. But, I don't know what had happened to that dream. And I want to believe that his experience has led him to become a public speaker. I have MC Desaint in the studio. Please come closer to my microphone so we can hear your mature voice. Did I get it right when I said that it's your experience that has led you to become a motivational speaker?
Well, yeah, sure. It played a part.
It did?
Yeah, it did.
When you speak now, what do you speak to people about?
Well, I just advise the youth not to be too desperate, to take their time, because when desperation sets in, you make a lot of mistakes.
Right.
Which you tend to regret later on.
Is that a summary of your story?
Exactly, it is.
Right.
It is.
You were born Desaint?
No, I was born Isaac John.
Oh, okay. Isaac John.
Desaint is my stage name, as in for the MC brand.
Ah, okay. Isaac John.
Yes.
John as in Asamoah John.
Yes.
Are you related to him?
Not related. I'm an Ekrapim. He comes from somewhere in the Western region also.
Oh, right. Interesting. But
he's been an idol anyway.
Nice one. And of course, what you have in common with him is the love for football.
Exactly.
Something that you've always had as from your childhood, or it came along the way?
Football has been my thing from childhood.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see.
I never traveled out of the country for school because of football.
Even though you had the opportunity?
Yes, I had the opportunity, but there were obstacles, and then whoever was taking me out there wanted me to do one or two things and quit football totally, which was something I wasn't willing to sacrifice.
Wow.
Yeah. Football had been my dream from day one.
And this is something you have defended against so many things.
Exactly. I have done a whole lot to keep the dream alive. It just wasn't meant to be. Okay. Honestly, when I sit down all alone and I play back what happened, and I feel like I wouldn't be able to professionally play football again. I feel this pain deep down me, because I lost a whole lot because of this particular football thing.
Right. Let's backtrack a little bit. Where did you grow up? Which area?
Well, I grew up in Labadi. At the age of 13, when I lost mom, I moved to La Paz to stay with stepmom and dad.
What was that like?
It was a story I wouldn't want to remember, because, well, we had shelter. That's my sister and I had shelter over our head, and then but sister couldn't take the treatment, so she had to come back to where mom was. Our late mom used to live. That's Labadi. And then, well, I was willing to go through the fire, if I may put it. So I stayed with stepmom and dad for over 16 years before finally I realized, needed to move. So I moved on.
Your mom knew you wanted to be a footballer?
My mom was very supportive until she was late, and then it was actually my dad and my stepmother with my step-sibling, my half-siblings, who actually didn't like the idea of me being a footballer. Oh, so
your dad didn't like the idea?
My dad never liked the idea, because they felt I was too brilliant to be a footballer. you know, way back they felt it was there's folks who never attended schools
Yes.
that had to play football, but I was willing to change that narrative.
What school did you go to?
Well, I started from Nyaniba. I had my nursery education somewhere in Nyaniba, and then I went to SDA for I think a year and moved to like experimental.
Okay.
So I went to Osu Home JHS Form 1, and I moved to Abekamuto SHS, junior high school inside La Paz.
Right. Yeah. And senior high?
Come again?
Senior high?
Senior high, I went to St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I was in Accra Girls.
Unfortunately, I didn't complete Aquinas.
Okay.
So I had to do a receipt for NOVDEC, which came out perfectly well. I still have my results, which are very, very good.
You left because of football, or?
I left because I wasn't getting enough push, if I may put it. Now I have to voice out. I wasn't. Financially, it was draining me because I was probably doing everything all by myself.
You were seeing yourself through school?
Exactly.
How were you managing that at senior high school?
Yeah, you go out there, you hustle. It was a day school though, so you go out there, you hustle.
Well, at that age, what was your hustle?
I actually started with O'Reilly Secondary School.
Okay.
And then along the line, I had to drop out, let me say. And then one day I was in the house, stepmom and dad were listening to the news actually, and then I realized the new headmaster then, who had been posted to Aquinas, Mr. Frank Bebley, I learned his late, I can't confirm though, had a connection with stepmom because my stepmom used to be a headmistress then.
Oh, right.
So probably they taught in the same school. So they were having a conversation and I realized they knew him.
Oh, right.
So the following day I just moved to Aquinas, and I went to see the headmaster. I told him I wanted to school here and I am the son of so and so, you understand. So he was actually looking for my dad and my stepmom just to say thank you to them, because whilst he was traveling outside, it was actually my dad who took his daughter and made sure she completed nursing training.
Oh, right.
So he was actually looking for a way just to reciprocate that kind of gesture.
Oh, right.
And the best time was helping me out here, giving me admission.
Interesting.
Yes, so he helped out, and he got to a point he wanted me to come stay with him in the school.
Yeah.
But I knew very well when I get there it was going to be all book, and I wasn't have the opportunity to play football.
Wow, you were so certain in your mind about wanted to do.
I wanted to be
football,
a professional footballer. It had been a dream from day one.
So when did you made a decision to play professional football? Where did you start off?
Well, we actually started a club, a juvenile club here in Labadi, Aviation Tortoise Football Club. So during the juvenile league, that was when a club from La Paz came to play a league match with us. And my performances, the coach actually wanted me. And fortunately for him, I was moving to La Paz at that very moment.
Right.
Yes. So it was a coincidence and it happened. So I moved to La Paz, and this coach, who happens to be the son of the legendary Obuoba J. Adofo.
Right.
Yes. He had a team called Grace Divine Football Club. We used to call it Adofo. So I joined the club and I played for the club for over 12, 13 years. That is, I played from the various stages, from the under 10s, under 12s to the second division. Okay. Before I finally left the club, because the club actually collapsed. Right. Yes. So when I left, I actually had to look for an option. I played for some of these other clubs around, and I trained with the entire lives. Okay. Before leaving for Sudan. Yeah, so I got to Sudan, and it's a story on its own. And that's why you're here. The Sudan experience. So this Sudan, going to Sudan to pursue football was a thing at the time, or is it that you've had some Ghanaian footballers who went there, excelled, and you thought, oh, that's the place to go to? What was the motivation? When the idea was presented to me by the agent, I did. And by the way, this is an agent that you knew, or you just encountered because of the travel? Well, I encountered him through the other guys I went to Sudan with, because they lived with him in the same vicinity. Okay. Yes. So when the idea was presented, I made a little checks and I realized there was this Ghanaian player who was actually there. He played for Accra Hasselfolk and currently with one of the other clubs. I think Abednego Tete. He actually played there and he was excelling.
Okay.
And
in Sudan.
Exactly. And there was this other player, Augustino Kra or something. He had made his name in Sudan.
Okay.
So per his performances in Sudan, I learned. What I got to know was Ghanaian footballers were being treated very well in Sudan.
In Sudan, okay.
So I thought to myself, why not take up the chance? Why not grab this opportunity?
And which year are we talking about here?
It's been like 6-7 years.
6-7 years. Wow.
And
what was it going to require?
well, it was all I needed money. It was all financial, the kind of financial power you had. And I needed to sort for help elsewhere. My big cousin actually did very well. Mr. Ado, he did quite well. He actually pushed me, him and his wife.
Right.
Yes, they did very well, but I had to look for support elsewhere as well because they couldn't do everything.
How much did you have to raise for this trip?
To be honest, it was quite some cash then, like coming from me because, someone who wasn't actually working, doing something concrete at that time, and you needed that kind of amount. But I can't be precise. I can't be specific as to how much the exact amount that I needed to raise. But it was a lot to me.
Roughly what, $5,000, $10,000?
Yeah, $5,000.
Around $5,000. And of course, for somebody who was not gainfully employed at the time, that was a lot of money.
That was a huge amount of money.
So where did you source help? You took loans?
Yes, I took loans, but then I spoke to my spiritual father. I'm a church boy as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And he, in turn, actually had a meeting with my big cousin. And I think they sorted things out. But I had some petty stuff around that I needed to take care of, like accommodation and stuff like that. And a big thank you to my godmother as well, Mrs. Francisca Bolawa. I'm much grateful for what she did for me then, because I got to the airport only to know I had to pay for accommodation as well. And then my flight was in 2 hours. I needed the money before I could move.
You could leave Accra.
Yeah. So I placed a call through to her, and she actually asked me to move quickly to her shop for the kind of amount I needed. That was in dollars. So I went to the shop, and then she gave me the money quickly. I had to come move to the airport.
So what was this package supposed to entail? An opportunity to meet agents in Sudan. What? Before
leaving Ghana for Sudan, this gentleman right here actually made us talk to one Mr. Omar, who is in Sudan, who was supposed to be the agent to get us the trial matches. So he was actually the one supposed to pick us from the airport. The day we were supposed to leave, the 3 gentlemen I was going with actually had their way through and left. I think I have forgotten, but something happened and I had to move to the next day. My flight had to move the next day. So I came back home and went the following day.
Okay.
So in the contract, we were to get to Sudan. An agent to pick us up from the airport, get us accommodation, then fix trial matches with the big clubs in Sudan for us. Per your performances, you could win a contract or something, but that wasn't it when we got to Sudan.
When you got to Sudan, what happened right from the airport?
Well, I got to Sudan feeling very excited because finally I felt my dreams were coming through, only to be disappointed. The first red flag I saw was I got to Sudan and there was no agent to pick me up from the airport.
Wow.
And I was like, what is going to happen next? Because then I heard a lot about Sudan. I'd heard a lot about the rebels. I've heard a lot about what's been happening. So I got really scared. And I asked myself, what next?
There was no one there to meet you on the other side.
There was no one to meet me at the other side.
Not even the 3 friends who had left earlier.
Not them. not them. I kept calling their numbers, they weren't picking up. And there was no agent. That particular Mr. Omar who was supposed to pick me up was nowhere to be found.
So what happened then?
So then I moved out. Fortunately, I had some little dollars on me. I had to change. Even that, the gentleman who helped me out actually gave me the wrong rate because
he knew that you didn't know your way around.
Exactly. So let me put it, he cheated me, but that's fine. I mean, I was new. I needed help. And I was looking for hotels around that were closer to the airport. I think I found one, the Doha Hotel. I got to the hotel, and the next day, fortunately, when I moved, because I wanted to move around and figure out what Khartoum was like, and if I could find someone to talk to.
Okay.
So I was moving around, and I bumped into one of the guys that I was supposed to live with the day before I left.
Oh, one of the three?
One of the three.
Okay.
Fortunately, their hotel was closer to mine.
Right.
So then he was Owusu. He saw me and was like, Ike, when did you come? I said, yesterday. I've been calling you guys. You were not picking up. And he asked me, have I heard from Mr. Omar? I was, no, I haven't. And they were also stranded because they also didn't hear from the man who was supposed to be the agent to pick us up.
And then Mr. Omar was supposed to be living in Sudan as well?
Yeah, he was supposed to be living in Sudan.
Okay.
So, you know, guys that had traveled out for the first time, we were just walking around trying to figure out what next. They actually took me to their hotel, and I had to move my stuff from my hotel to their hotel. Okay. And the four of us shared a room because we realized anything could happen at that particular moment. And we had to save money. Yes. We had to keep money on us. It got to a point where we overstayed in the hotel, didn't have money to pay, and our passports were seized by the hotel administration. And that was when we realized how critical things were.
And when you say overstayed, this is after you had stayed for what, a week or two?
Yeah, we had stayed for, I think, close to 2 weeks. And there was
no word from Mr. Omar.
Nowhere to find Mr. Omar. God being so good, we came across some Ghanaian footballers who had also stayed there. Some had overstayed and needed money to pay for their residence or something before they could come back. And there was no one to help, so they were just there. Right. Yes.
Doing what?
Doing nothing because they didn't have clubs and they had overstayed. They wanted to come back home. There was no financial help to get them tickets back home. So if you're fortunate enough to meet someone out there who is willing to help you get back home, then you move back home. If you're fortunate to speak to someone here in Ghana who is willing to help you get a ticket back home, you are fortunate, then you come back home. If not, you stay, and you stay till you figure out what next.
And in staying till you figure out what next, you don't get questioned by immigration, you don't get questioned by police?
Well, you know, Sudanese immigration and the police are quite friendly. Okay. Yes. I quite remember I personally got arrested twice in Sudan.
For what?
First, the first reason is quite funny because, you know, calling a lady babe here in Ghana is something normal, you understand? And I got to Sudan, we got to the mall, we were just walking around. Someone who was stranded, someone who didn't even have a place to sleep. I wouldn't think of my own self and figure out what to do next. I went calling someone babe. And she actually came back. She was actually passing by.
A Sudanese lady?
Yes, this particular lady came back asking me, was she the one I referred to as babe? I said, yeah, I just wanted to say hi. You know, South Sudanese, they have this dark skin color, which is very, very nice, very shiny. So I actually liked the skin. So I was trying to have an interaction with her, and she told me she was coming. So we were with one of our senior players when I saw her coming with a gentleman in blue. It was then our senior player asked if any of us had done anything offensive or said anything offensive
to the lady,
because the gentleman she's coming with is a police officer. Then I told him, I didn't say anything offensive, I just said babe. And I was told here, you don't call a lady.
That's
or you don't
harassment.
refer to, that's harassment. So they got there, they greeted us, and my senior player, who was quite popular there, spoke to the officer that I just got in. I didn't know much about Sudan, so they should just pardon me. So that was the first one.
And you were arrested for how long?
Well,
were you taken to the station?
They took me along, but just when we got there, another senior player by name Michael joined the other guy who helped us out. They spoke to the officers, and I was actually released. Yeah.
Okay.
And the second one, I actually didn't know they were fasting. And in Sudan, when they are fasting, you don't walk around with anything edible or drinkables.
Oh.
Yes, because they feel they will be tempted to take what you are having around. So
on the streets of Sudan, you don't walk around with anything
water,
edible.
Drinks, or food
During the fasting period.
Exactly. So their shops are normally open in the evening.
All right.
Yeah. I didn't know this. And you know their weather is very, very hot.
Yes.
Very hot. So I had this bottled water with me. I was just sipping. I know, but Boga, I'm about town for. I was just trying to feel myself a bit, and then I got arrested. They told me
for holding a bottle of water.
For holding a bottle of water. So when they were just about to take me to the station, one other police officer came around and asked the other one just to caution me, and that if I was going to take the water, I take it and throw the bottle away. If not, I just threw everything that I have away. So I just dropped it in the dustbin and just went to my hotel. That was it.
Interesting.
I think for 2 days, I didn't come out of my hotel.
For fear of being arrested again.
I've had enough in a day. I was okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But your football career was still hanging in balance.
Exactly.
You have not been able to reach Mr. Omar.
Exactly.
All four of you are in despair. Then how were you living? Because you're not working, right? At the time, you're not making money.
When we were leaving, I had, as I said, some cash on me.
Okay.
Yes, and I think the one particular guy who was part of us, Jonathan, his brother actually gave him an amount of money which could sustain him for a while. So he was... he actually made sure we were all okay. And that money, whatever he ate, we ate the same thing.
Okay.
And then we got in touch with the two senior players I was talking about, who didn't know us from Adam. But then when they realized we were stranded, because they knew the story, how people were pushing footballers to Sudan from Ghana, and then they leave them there stranded. They had sympathy. And they took us in as well. They got us this rice cooker that we used to cook noodles. And we had our shito in our bags. So we just get the shito and the noodles. We enjoy ourselves. We do this oil rice thing. And that was all that we were eating until we realized there was a space in the mall where rice was being sold by a Malaysian.
Okay.
So you get the rice from her and you go get your chicken from another restaurant, because she doesn't do chicken.
Okay.
And then you go with your shito, because there they don't do pepper and salt.
Right.
So it was like eating a ghost food. Yes, so we move with our shito everywhere we go. We have shito in our pockets.
All the time?
Yeah, all the time. And that was how we
were living.
Yeah.
But this is you in a land that you thought was going to, bring you the fortunes that you've been praying about or hoping for. And you were there, but you're not there. And you probably were seeing other Ghanaian footballers who may have had the opportunity to, get the trial matches and all of that. Right. Psychologically, how was that playing on your mind?
It was painful, if I may put it. It was hurtful, because then it kept occurring to me that the dream was over. Because the only person who could have helped push the dream was my big cousin. And I actually forced him to help me push this particular dream, to push through to get the strip. And he had actually supported me well enough that if I should come back, I wouldn't be able to go back to him and tell him it didn't work out. I am trying out a new one and I still want you to help me on that. Because he's also got kids and family. He's also got kids and family to take care of, and it would just be bad on my side to go back and tell him I went, it didn't work out, so I want you to, work out something new for me.
Did you call him when you realized that, look, this wasn't going to work?
No, I didn't. I was actually planning on how I'm going to face the family when I get back. Though most of them didn't know I traveled then, but the few that knew and friends that knew I traveled, my problem was, what am I going to say when I get back? What am I going to tell people? What next?
Your sister.
What next? She's been my sole responsibility. She was my sole responsibility until she got married. And then she was also having high expectations as my brother is out there going to play professionally. Definitely he was going to come back and make us live a good life. That was
heavy. That was very heavy on the mind.
Exactly. So emotionally I was down. Psychologically I was down. Everything wasn't moving as expected.
Yeah.
And I just wished there could be a way out. It got to a point, the senior players organized a match with our Nigerian counterparts who were also stranded.
Right.
There are a host of Nigerians also in Sudan who are stranded, footballers who are stranded. So we played, and there was this Nigerian agent who actually wanted to help us. And he actually, coming on board to help us, he took the last dollars we had on us.
Oh, no.
And that was it. We never saw him again.
The remaining you had,
that we were living on,
he took taken. That away as well.
Exactly, and that was
how much money are we talking about here?
We're talking about $500. That was the little we had then.
Wow.
So if not for the two senior players who were actually, I don't know if God actually connected us in a way to them, because this guys actually took care of us entirely till we left for Ghana. At
what point did you all make a decision that, look, however it will look back home, we're ready to go back and face it. We can keep staying here.
Yes, on I think we had 1 month to stay, a month or two to stay in Sudan. And then after that, I think per the immigration laws, you would have to pay for residency or something.
Okay.
And there was no money. The time was getting closer. There was no sign of anybody coming to talk to us about any sort of trials. The agent here, the young man here in Ghana who actually connected us and took our money, is also not responding to our texts nor responding to our calls. So what next? If not for anything, Ghana is home.
Yes.
It will be better for me to come, let me put it, die in my home country than die in another man's country, where I went hustling and it didn't work out. So I didn't have a choice. I had to come back.
How did you raise money to come back?
Well, I spoke to a few friends, and there was this lady friend who was actually a doctor. I spoke to her about the whole issue, and I mean, she had pity on me, so she decided to get me a ticket. She got the ticket and sent a shot of it into my through email. I had to print it out there and then did whatever I had to do. So I actually left the other three there to come back. They came later on because most of them had no money to come back.
When you came back, like you said, not a lot of people knew that you had even left. Who met you at the airport?
I met my own self. No one knew I was coming.
Nobody knew?
Nobody knew I was coming.
Not your sister?
Not my sister.
Not your big cousin?
No one knew I was coming. Because I cried from Sudan to Ethiopia, then back to Ghana. It was all tears. I got to the airport. Money for transportation back home was a problem.
From Kotoka?
From Kotoka to Labadi was a problem.
From Kotoka to Labadi was a problem?
Was a problem. I had nothing, absolutely nothing on me. So I pushed my bag, walked from Kotoka to Labadi.
You're joking.
I'm being honest with you. I'm telling you the realistic truth.
What time did your flight arrive?
It was actually in the mid-morning, if I'm correct. I actually wanted to come with all those documents because I still have them. I've kept all text messages with the agent. I've printed everything. I've kept it for years. I just look at it when I just want to remember what happened and then laugh over it.
So you arrived here during the
Mid-morning or so,
mid-morning,
if I'm correct,
around 10 a.m.?
Yes, around, let's say 11.
Nobody knew you were coming?
Nobody knew I was coming.
And you carried your luggage?
Yeah.
And walked?
And walked from Kotoka to Labadi. It's not much of a distance though, but I mean, someone who had traveled and gotten back, at least taxi.
Somebody could have seen you.
Exactly.
The same people that you didn't want to know that you were back.
I didn't have a choice. The fact that someone would see me that didn't mean I should stay at the airport. I had to still go home. I got home. Fortunately for me, there was no one at home. And I locked myself up because it's a
How did you find the key?
I had my key.
You had your key.
It was my own room.
Okay.
So I locked myself up. For like 2 days, I hadn't gone out. I was
Nobody knew you were in there?
Nobody knew.
You weren't turning on the light at night?
No. Even now that I live alone, most of the times I have everything off in the room. That is when I don't have any show or any event to go host. I stay indoors and people in the house don't even know I'm around.
So you got home, locked yourself in there, and what? Cried your heart out?
Cried my heart out. Because I realized the dream was dead. Then I realized the football dream was dead.
Wow.
So I asked myself questions. Should I have listened to my half siblings then and dropped the football thing earlier? Where would I have been if I had dropped this football thing? But this had been a dream. It wasn't something I learned. I grew up with football. Even now, when I dress up and I move onto the pitch, people who doesn't even know I had played football just see me and they know I can play. This is something I was born to do.
When you had locked yourself up for a day or two, who was the first to see you?
Well, it got to a point that I realized I had to gather courage and call my sister and tell her, "Unya, I'm back." It didn't happen. It didn't work out. I knew she was going to get hurt, but because she had high hopes, after all, her brother was out there going to find greener pastures. So I had to gather courage. I called her. I told her it didn't work out. So she was the first person I actually spoke to before I moved to my cousin, who helped me during the process. I had to go see him and the wife and thank them for what they did for me and tell them I appreciate everything, but unfortunately, things didn't work out the way we all planned or the way we all expected it to happen. So I am back and I'm going to start from scratch.
Where were you going to start from?
Well, before I left for Sudan, I had started the MC thing, but it wasn't professional. I had not branded myself well enough. So I did a few events, and then I have a cousin in New Abrim in the Eastern region. So a friend of hers came for an event which I hosted, and she went telling her about it. So she asked for the picture of the MC. She saw it and it was the cousin. And then she called me later on and was like, someone showed me an event you did, which was very good. Since the football thing didn't work out and you are good in public speaking and then this event hosting thing, why not sit down, brand yourself properly, and use this to cater for yourself for the time being until you are able to figure out what to do next. So she actually gave me that encouragement. She actually encouraged me to do this professionally. There and then, I thought about it and I realized, yeah, it makes sense. So I started working on putting up a professional brand, which we all are witnessing today. Yeah.
Wow. Now, this is truly inspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, the length you went to pursue your dream, but didn't turn out that way. But you're picking up the pieces, and
Yeah.
it's so inspiring.
Exactly. I am doing events currently. But trust me, I still have pains when it comes to me knowing very well I would never be able to be a professional footballer.
Have you given up on that dream?
Locally, I've given up, but I have this big dream that I would at least do a few years as a professional footballer if I have the opportunity to move out of the country.
You still want to go out of a country?
Oh yes, I still want to travel.
You haven't given up on?
No, this time around I am not moving to any African country.
You think you'd be better off in Europe or Asia or?
If my first trip should have been in Europe, I could have still done something when the football thing didn't work out. In Sudan, there was virtually nothing for you to do, if not for football as a foreigner. But if it were to be in Europe, at least I could do something to earn something little, monthly or daily. And it could have sustained me at least.
Looking back now, was there anything that you overlooked because you were desperate? And maybe if you had paid more attention to it, maybe the outcome would have been different.
In connection with the football thing?
Yes, in connection with going to Sudan.
Well, yeah. I was very, very desperate. Very, very, because life was a living hell here in Ghana for me. I was going through a lot then. I don't know if I was going through a lot or a lot was going through me. But
that's an interesting way to put it.
I really wanted to leave. So when the contract was given to us, and I might say it wasn't because I was desperate, but it was because of the way in the rush, the manner in which the contract was given to us. They waited till the last minute when we had done everything before they dropped the contract and asked us to sign. I just signed the contract without reading. That's why I'm saying desperation comes with a whole lot of mistakes. If I had relaxed and taken my time to read through the contract, I would have realized that things weren't in my favor. So if I am leaving, then we had to make omissions and additions to the contract, which was going to favor both of us.
Right.
But because I really wanted to travel, that was the only thing I had in mind. Nothing else mattered.
Did you ever make contact with Mr. Omar?
We tried getting in touch with him. We never got through to him. But funny enough, quite recently, I'm now a social media person. I'm all over social media each and every day. I was going through social media and I came across his profile on Facebook. Because the picture we were given, the picture we saw here before leaving, the picture of the very person who was supposed to pick us up was still with me.
Right.
So I saw the same picture on his DP. I saw and I sent him a message. He read the message, responded in Arabic, and I had to translate. And this man wasn't shameful and I didn't feel the shame. Had the audacity to tell me to find money so he finds me a club to play for.
Again?
Again. This time around, he wants to push me to Zambia. From frying pan to fire. But he didn't get it that easy with me. I mean, I gave him a piece of what I had in mind. So then, I think that was the only time I had communicated with him, and then after that, that was it.
For young people who have, whether it's a football dream or any other dream, and are desperate, just like you were, what advice would you give them?
I would just want to tell them they should stay calm. The right time will come. Yes, you work hard, pray, take God very serious, work very hard, put in effort, the right time will come. Because immediately you get desperate, your fellow man would want to take advantage of you. And that might affect you for the rest of your life. And one more thing, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If I had listened to advice, because I think I had connections that I had to move to Montgomery College in Maryland, which my senior brother was working on. So he actually made me sit for the SAT exams, which I passed. And then, I was using my football age in my passport.
Right.
So he wanted me to change it to my real
actual age,
which I wasn't ready to. That actually got him furious, and he dropped that whole thing. And I didn't mind because it was just football. If I'm not playing football, nothing else. But I would advise the youth of today, the upcoming ones, don't put your eggs in one basket. Look at other options. If the main option isn't working, get to the main option through other options, and you are there.
MC Desaint, event MC, and of course, a motivational speaker. Well, our time is up. There's still so much to talk about.
Exactly.
But you speak very well.
Yeah, that's a gift.
Yeah. Won't be bad to engage you on radio sometime.
Well, 3FM is my home.
It's your home, huh?
I've been a panelist on Masking Man for 2 years.
I remember that.
Yeah, so this place is my home.
It's your home.
Yeah,
Nice
I'll definitely be back.
It's always a pleasure to have you here. It's always a pleasure. Guys, I hope that you have been truly inspired by his story. I have been completely inspired by your story. I mean, especially having to pick up the pieces. Charlie, it's not easy like that.
It's not been easy.
It's not easy like that at all.
The fun people made when I finally moved from football to event hosting.
Yeah.
If I wasn't strong enough, I would have dropped that event hosting dream as well. But I had no choice.
You're a strong-willed person.
Yeah.
I see that.
Exactly.
Strong-willed.
I don't give up so easily.
And that's the spirit. Did you at a point feel that God had let you down?
Well, I
asked
him questions. I asked God questions. I asked him questions because I asked him, you took my mom, who was willing to help me pursue my dream. Now I personally fought to pursue this dream, and you made this happen to me. After all the service I've done in your house, because I was a chief protocol officer in church then, sweeping the church auditorium day in, day out, moving with my man of God here for 12 years. And this is how God pays me back as a son. I asked questions, but I grew up and I realized things like this happen when God wants to push you somewhere.
What was the message God was giving you with that experience?
Probably I felt God was telling me I could do more in football even if I am not playing. So I'm looking at other options now. That is, if I don't have the opportunity to travel, so I could pursue at least 5 to 10 years of professional football.
Yeah.
Because I still have the gift. I am just left to train. If I want to play, I just have to take some few months and train seriously. But then I had a feeling I could do more than just playing, like coaching and coaching the young ones out there and doing anything, probably football administration. Yes, that's what I see. But moving into event hosting, I've realized maybe God felt this would help more for now than the football. Who knows? I am not saying, but rest in peace, I'm to the late Jamina. Who knows? I might have had a medical condition that God didn't want me to fall on the pitch and die of. So probably move to somewhere and do what he felt was right.
It was right for you. Oh wow, how time flies. Thank you so much.
You're welcome,
Thank you so
Miriam.
much. I have been really inspired. I'm sure I just hope also that our listeners have been truly inspired as well. It's always a pleasure to have you in here. Like I said, it won't be the last time that we engage in. But for you who's been listening out there, thank you so much for your time. That's our show for you this Wednesday. We're back next week Wednesday with another life-changing, inspirational edition of Unedited. My name is Miriam. A big thanks to my Major account on production and to Emmanuel on social media, and of course DJ Phil on On the turntable. No, not on the turntable. On the DJ side of things. Have a great evening. I'm going to bring this one back. It's Danigo Key. Don't forget, right after this is the news, and then wind down with a Kofa Comes Your Way. But don't forget also that on the 28th of December is the big all-white party. My guest is already in white. You might want to save your white because you will need the white on the 28th. Exactly. We've got Stoneboy coming through. We've got Manifest coming through as well as Akwaba coming through as well. Kwabna. It's going to be a really, really big one. The 28th of December at the beautiful La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, starting from 7 p.m. sharp. Dress to impress in your finest all-white attire and be part of the ultimate celebration of the season. Live music performances from the hottest artists in GH, Stoneboy, Manifest, Kwabna, Akwaba, and a host of others. So book your table. Call 0531 100 927. That's 0531 100 927 and 0532 200 927. That's 0532 200 927 for your table reservation today. See you on the 28th of December at the beautiful La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. I'm out and have a great evening.